tax here.
Most respected authorities of Islamia College, especially the Secretary and Correspondent Janab L. Munir Ahmed Sahib, our respected Principal T. Muhammad Ilyas, Vice Principal and IQC Coordinator Dr. Raja Muhammad Kamil, dear participants, fellow teachers and my dear friends. Today I would like to give a presentation on outcome-based education. It is a very, very significant topic to be understood by each and every faculty associated with higher education. To make it very easy, I have divided this topic into 10 subheadings. First, I would like to give you a very brief scenario of higher education, and then I would like to concentrate on quality dimensions and the initiative taken by UGC and also Washington Accord. This forms the backdrop of the topic. When you understand these points, you can easily understand outcome-based education. My dear friends, higher education, as you are aware, has increased tremendously. The access to higher education is increased dramatically. We find the mushroom growth of colleges in every nook and corner of the country, and we have grown quantitatively. But as far as quality is concerned, it's a matter of great concern to the educational planners and the authorities. You just look at the statistics. In 1950, when India became a republic, the total number of universities were just 27. But according to the survey report of All India Survey of Higher Education of 2016, now we have got more than 800 universities. Similarly, in 1950, we had only 500 colleges. Today we have around 400 colleges, 40,000 colleges. The class enrollment ratio in higher education is 24.5%. And when we have expanded dramatically the level of education which is being imparted at the colleges and universities has become a very good question mark. Now, as far as the objectives of education are concerned, it varies from level to level. If you take up the primary level, the objective of primary level education is just to prepare the students to get the ability to read, write, and to do some basic arithmetics. And at the high school level, we focus on understanding the concepts. But when we come to higher education, we are not only imparting instructions based on a particular curriculum, we are expected to analyze the knowledge which is being imparted, to discuss knowledge, to evaluate knowledge, to examine knowledge, and above all, to create new knowledge. And in this context of quality dimension, National Knowledge Commission has given some recommendations, and it expected that about 1,500 universities are to be created. We have got about 800 universities. According to Knowledge Commission, National Knowledge Commission, we have to establish more universities. The target is 1,500 universities. And to ensure quality, Knowledge Commission suggests that the curricula should be frequently revised and updated, and the course credit system is also to be introduced, and we must rely on internal assessment system. We must encourage research. We must encourage reform in governance. All these things are suggested by the Knowledge Commission. And as I told you, the objectives of higher education till recently were very vague, ambiguous, and nebulous. Generally, it was expected from liberal and arts education that the student coming out of the colleges should be physically strong, intellectually inspired, emotionally balanced, morally upright, spiritually inspired, socially committed young men who could be the messengers of peace, communal harmony, social justice for the progress of India. According to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, universities and colleges are meant for humanism, for reason, for tolerance, for adventure of ideas, for the search of truth. In short, Nehru stressed that these universities and higher education institutions should stand for onward march of human race towards higher education. Universities and higher education institutions should stand for conservation of knowledge, for the preservation of knowledge, for the discovery of knowledge, and above all, for the creation of new knowledge makers. In this context, APJ Abdul Kalam, while delivering the decennial address of DAC on 5th November 2004, he clearly suggested that a new educational model has to be adopted in higher education. According to APJ Abdul Kalam, in the universities and colleges, while the students are undergoing these undergraduate programs or postgraduate programs, certain capacities are to be built in among them, and those capacities are to be embedded in the children, in the young graduates. He said that 5 important capacities are to be imparted to the students. Number 1, research and inquiry. Number 2, creativity and innovation. Number 3, capacity to use high technology. Number 4, entrepreneurship. The 5th one is moral leadership. Every graduate coming out of this liberal arts education should have these 5 important capacities according to APJ Abdul Kalam. While emphasizing on moral leadership, APJ Abdul Kalam said that the students should have the ability to have compelling and powerful dreams or visions for human development. They should have a disposition to do the right thing and also to influence others to do the right thing. Therefore, my dear friends, they focus on quality dimension. Quality in higher education is a holistic concept. It's a holistic concept. In many respects, it is an attitude of mind. It's only a perception. Quality, excellence are relative terms. Quality is a context and specific, need specific one. How to provide quality education to the maximum number of people at affordable cost is a primary concern of the authorities of higher education. Quality makes education socially relevant, industry-based, need-based, and personally indispensable. The greatest challenge faced by the colleges and universities is the acquisition of quality and excellence. And you take up institutional excellence. What do you mean by institutional excellence? Institutional excellence is nothing but the aggregate of the best practices followed in different areas of performance of an education institution. In this context, 3 fundamental issues are being discussed. With regard to quality dimension, 3 fundamental issues are being discussed. Number 1, next slide please. Next slide. Yes. 3 fundamental issues are being articulated. The first one is, are we performing better than what we have performed earlier? That is the first question to be articulated. The second question is, are there any other organization or institution that is performing well and from whom we can learn? And the third question is, are there any best practices that will improve our performance? These are the 3 fundamental questions that are articulated with regard to quality dimension. And institutional excellence is nothing but the aggregate of the best practices followed in different areas of performance. Quality assurance does not happen by accident. It has to be planned, it has to be followed, and it has to be carried out. And my dear friends, the ultimate objective is to achieve enhanced performance of the students to reach the goals of education set forth by the institution. In the capacity building model, we need new ideas, new concepts, solutions, innovations which should help this capacity building model. Capacity building needs enhanced motivation of the institution. Next slide, please. UGC has taken the initiative for enhancing the quality, for enhancement of quality, for quality assurance and quality sustenance. And for that, it issued a circular on 7th August 2018. According to this UGC circular, various subject expert committees were constituted. It is an initiative taken by UGC for the development of learning outcome based curriculum framework. We call it LOCF, Learning Outcome Based Curriculum Framework. For that, the UGC constituted expert committees, subject expert committees, to develop certain templates to achieve this learning outcome curriculum based framework. There were two themes which were framed by UGC. Theme one was given: what are the objectives of a program? Suppose you have got different programs in arts, science, commerce, etc. What are the objectives of each program? What are the graduate attributes expected out of this program? We call it program outcome. And what are the desired learning outcomes of a degree which is obtained by a student? And in every curriculum, the proportion of knowledge, skill, soft skills in the curriculum are to be completely decided. Curriculum and employability. These are the important points with regard to theme 1. And in theme 2, next slide, theme 2, changes required in existing curriculum design and approach. And the UGC suggested that there should be, next slide. UGC suggested that there should be an integration of work experience, field study, case studies, internship with classroom teaching, not only classroom teaching. Apart from that, all these things are to be integrated. There should be flexibility in curriculum design and processes, and the pedagogy should be student-centered, learner-centered, and new methodologies, innovative methodologies are to be introduced in pedagogy. The fundamental premise of LOCF, Learning Outcome Curriculum Framework, is to specify what the graduates of a particular program are expected to know, understand, and able to do at the end of the program of study. This approach of learning makes the student a very active learner, a very interesting learner, enthusiastic learner, teacher, a good helper, a good facilitator, a good supporter. Both put together, they lay the foundation of lifelong learning. Next slide, please. Another milestone in the development of outcome-based education is the Washington Accord. This Washington Accord was signed in the year 1989. Actually, it was an international agreement among the accrediting bodies responsible for accrediting engineering degree programs. It was not meant for liberal or arts education. Actually, it was meant for engineering degree programs. And according to this accord, it recognizes the substantial equivalency of the program of one nation with the other nation. It declares whether the minimum academic requirements are met for the entry into the practice of engineering. And India joined this Washington Accord only in the year 2014. In India, NBA, National Board of Accreditation, is the accrediting agency for engineering colleges. Just as we have NAC for liberal arts education, for engineering colleges, there is an agency called National Board of Accreditation (NBA). It joined this Washington Accord only in the year 2014. Next slide, please. Based on the recommendations of this learning outcome based curriculum framework of UGC and Washington Accord, outcome based education is formulated. Now definition. What do you mean by outcome based education? Outcome based education is an educational approach. It focuses on education, graduate attributes. Graduate attributes are nothing but program outcome. The outcome of the program after completing an academic program. Suppose a student studies BSc Mathematics, an academic program. What are the attributes he acquires? What is the knowledge he acquires? What is he able to do after that particular degree program? Therefore, it is an educational philosophy organized around several basic beliefs and principles. This philosophy is based on certain perceptions, certain beliefs and principles, and those beliefs are very, very simple. Number one, all students can learn and succeed. There is no discrimination. All students can learn and succeed. The success of the student is the responsibility of the teacher. Another belief is that the success of every student depends on the responsibility of the teacher. It focuses on exit level outcomes. Teaching learning strategies should focus on high standards. It includes an expanded opportunities for enrichment and remediation. And this outcome-based education has got three components. You have to understand this point very well. Outcome-based education has got three components, three types. Number one is knowledge. Number two, the skill. Number three is the attitude. What is the knowledge acquired by the student after undergoing a program, and what are the skills he is able to get after the program, and the attitude. Next slide, please. In outcome-based education, the main questions articulated are three. What do you want the students to have or able to do after a particular program? This question relates to the skill sets which he is going to get. The second question is, how can you best help the student to achieve it? That is the responsibility of the teacher to guide the student to acquire those attributes. Number three, how will you know what they have achieved? And there the question of assessment and evaluation comes. My dear friends, there are three main objectives based on these questions. Next slide, please. Main objectives. What do you want the students to learn? Why do you want the student to learn? How can you best help the student to learn? How will you know what they have learned? The first one is what? What do you want the students to learn? And then, why do you want the purpose? Why do you want the students to learn? How can you best help the student to learn? Your guidance, your responsibility, your help. And how will you know what they have learned? Their assessment. And what is the necessity of this outcome-based education? It's a very important point which you have to understand. Why do we focus on outcome-based education? You are all aware that the existing old system, we are producing millions of graduates, hundreds and thousands of graduates, but those graduates are unemployable graduates. They are not fit for any employment. People with high-sounding degrees come out of these colleges and universities are not even able to speak few sentences properly. They are not able to prepare a letter, a project seriously. That means they lack all these skills. And these graduates are not prepared for any workforce. At the existing system, there was no emphasis on skill needed for job. The skills which are relevant, which are useful for industry, for the society, those things are not given any importance. And above all, lack of communication skill, human relations, office skill, etc. And above all, in the present system, lack of values is a very, disturbing, very perplexing question. Values, people after graduation in a particular degree program or in a PG program from a college or university should have certain values, human values, universal values, constitutional values, national values, professional ethics, etc. Human values such as respect, acceptance, tolerance, consideration, appreciation, listening, openness, affection, empathy, love towards human beings. These are all human values which every graduate should have. Similarly, universal values, morality, aesthetic preference, human traits, social order, peace, non-violence, social welfare, truth, righteousness through education. These are the universal values which every graduate should have. Similarly, national values and constitutional values like socialism, secularism, democratic socialism, rule of law, non-racialism, human dignity, equity, respect, etc. Similarly, professional ethics are very important. Integrity, honesty, transparency, truthfulness to the job, objectivity in our approach, confidentiality. These are all very important values. And in the existing system, these values are lacking and there has to be integrated. That is why OBE, outcome-based education, has become very essential and significant. And next slide, please. What are expected from students under OBE? The student should be able to do more challenging tasks under this present educational system. Formerly, focus was only on memorizing and reproducing. More than that, the challenging tasks are there under the OBE. They will be able to write project proposals, complete projects. The student should be able to analyze case studies and give his findings, give a presentation of the case study. They should be able to show their abilities to think, to question, to research, to make decisions on findings. And the student should be able to analyze and synthesize information. He must be able to plan and organize work. He must have the ability to work in a team, as a community or in an organization. Teamwork is highly essential. And therefore, next slide please. OBE emphasis on product. There are two things in this, in the whole system. One is called product and the other is process. OBE focuses on outcome-based education, focuses on product, not on process. But generally, we focus on process. What sort of graduate must be produced? What are the abilities, competencies he should have? What are his attitudes he should hold? These are the very important things, rather than the educational process. It is a performance-based approach. OBE is a performance-based approach. It is a result-oriented. It's very particular about results, not about the inputs-based education. OBE focuses on how much and how well the students have learned. How much the student has learned and how well they have learned. That is a very important thing with regard to OBE. Then the approach of OBE is, next one, OBE approach. the OBE approach, we have to reduce lecture hours, increase tutorial hours for four important things. Number one, to discuss unsolved problems. More than lecturing, the students should be involved and they should be guided properly. They should be given a kind of guidance to discuss unsolved problems, to conduct formative evaluations, to provide individual feedback, to allow more time for students to learn. This is the focus of OBE. And OBE approach also promote the use of active learning. Here what they mean is participative learning through simulation tools, virtual labs, game-based learning, etc. Here the focus is given on experiential learning, experimental learning, and it promotes collaboration, communication, problem solving. This is a very important thing with regard to the approach of outcome-based education. And then we shall proceed to the next very important aspect, program outcome, program specific outcome, and course outcome. First we shall take up program outcome. Yes. Program outcome. Program outcome is common. You have to understand that it is common for all degree programs, whether it is BA degree, BSc degree, whatever it may be, the outcome expected of the degree program is common. It is otherwise known as graduate attributes. The program outcome is otherwise known as graduate attributes. What is program outcome? Program outcome are the statements that describe what the students after completing graduation should be able to do. That is the thing with regard to program outcome. What is able to do after graduation, immediately after graduation. Here certain attributes are given and you have to understand these attributes very clearly. Number one, critical thinking. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking has got two aspects. Number one, looking at ideas from different perspectives. Critical thinking means a student should have the ability to look at the ideas from different angles, from different perspectives, organizational perspective, intellectual perspective, and personal perspective. This is one thing. Second thing, taking actions on any issue only after assessing the pros and cons, after checking and verifying the degree of accuracy and correctness of the data, correctness of the information, then only he would take action. He will be objective in his approach, not subjective. That is what we mean by critical thinking. So critical thinking is very simple. You have to understand this. It has got two components. Number one, the student will have the ability to look at any idea, they look at ideas from different angles, from different perspectives, organizational, intellectual, and personal. Similarly, the other one is he will take actions, he will take decisions and actions on any issue only after assessing the pros and cons, after collecting and verifying the degree of accuracy and correctness of the issue. That is what we mean by critical thinking. The second one is effective communication. Here, what is expected of effective communication? A graduate, after completing his degree program, should have the ability to speak, read, write, and also listen clearly in person and through electronic media in English and also in one Indian language. This is what is expected of effective communication. The third one is social interaction. Social interaction means eliciting views of others, mediating disagreements, helping to reach conclusions in group setting. That is what is meant by social interaction. The fourth one is effective citizenship. effective citizenship has got three aspects. Number one, demonstrating empathetic social concern and equity centered national development. Empathetic social concern and equity centered national development. The second one is ability to act with an informal awareness of the issues. We must have awareness of all the issues. And thirdly, participate in the civic life through voluntary, not under compulsion, through voluntary. The next one is ethics. Ethics is nothing but recognizing the different value systems. Ethics means recognizing different value systems, including our own value system, your own value system. Number two, understanding moral dimensions of your decisions and accept responsibility. Environment and sustainability is the other attribute. That is, understand the issues of environmental context and sustainable development. Or you must have the awareness of all environmental issues and sustainable development. The last one is self-directed lifelong learning. We must acquire the ability to engage in independent learning, lifelong learning in the broadest context of socio-technological changes. This is what we mean by program outcome. Program outcome, this is otherwise called program, what you call graduate attributes. The next one is PSOs, that is program specific outcome. Program specific outcome. Program specific outcomes are what the graduates of a specific UG, PG program should be able to do at the time of graduation. Program outcome is common. Specific outcome relates to the degree, the subject which he studies. Suppose he studies BSc Mathematics. The knowledge which he acquired from BSc Mathematics should reflect in the outcome of the program. That is what we mean by program specific outcome. And here there are four important points to be understood under program specific outcome. Program specific outcome are program specific, subject specific, and PSOs are written by the concerned department. Chemistry department will write program specific outcome for BSc chemistry, not the Department of Mathematics. PSO should be 2 to 6 in number. If the grades are 4 or less, you can have 2 grades, 2 PSOs. If the grades are more than 4, you can have 6 PSOs. A department can differentiate its program through PSOs. PSOs use the significance of the program, significance of the subject. The uniqueness of the subject is reflected in the program specific outcome. Just for example, BA Economics. BA Economics, just example I'm telling you. BA Economics, PSO 1, you can understand the behavior of the Indian world economy. PSO 2, you can analyze macroeconomic policies including fiscal and monetary policies of India. Determine the economic variables including inflation, unemployment, poverty, GDP, balance of payment, using statistical method, etc. PSO 4, understand the behavior of financial and monetary markets and perform cost-benefit analysis for making investment. Therefore, PSOs differ from subject to subject, degree to degree. Then last one is course outcome. Generally we call subject for a particular paper, but here the terminology used is course outcome. Course outcomes are also statements that describes what the students are expected to know, his attitudes, which he are expected to hold, and what he is able to do after taking a particular course. Therefore, COs are written using action verbs. We shall discuss action verbs separately. These action verbs should be specific, measurable, and it should be demonstrated. CEOs should aim to develop higher order skills in each domain of learning. CEOs must consistent with program goals, core curriculum, and university norms. While we are writing these learning outcomes of a particular course, we must take into consideration the program goals, core curriculum, and also university vision. Evaluation, synthesis, and analysis are typical examples in determining the course outcome. A department can differentiate its program through PSOs and COs. For example, in BA History, just for example I'm telling you for information, Constitutional History of India is a subject, it is a course, and it has got 4 credits, and therefore we have to write 6 COs. CO1, understand the history of constitutional development. CO2, explain the organization, functions of the 3 branches of government, namely executive, legislature, and judiciary. Analyze the directive principles of state policy. Evaluate the fundamental rights. Outline center-state relations. Discuss the procedure of constitutional amendment, etc. This is a good example for a particular course outcome. And next slide, please. Expected learning outcome. What students are expected to learn? What faculty members wanted to know at the end of the program course? What faculty members wanted the students to be able to do at the end of the program or the course? This is what we call expected learning outcome. And here there are 3 important characteristics of this expected learning outcomes. That is, they specify an action by student at the end of the course that is observable. They specify an action by student that is measurable. And they specify an action that is done by the student, which he can do it, that is doable. So these are the 3 characteristics of the expected learning outcomes of a particular program. Whatever may be the outcome, that should be observable, measurable, and doable. Next slide, please. While writing this program outcomes, learning outcomes, we must be aware of the action words which are to be used. There are 2 types of action words. Good action words, which are very specific, which convey the meaning, which gives, which are helpful to achieve the purpose of outcome-based education. And here are some examples. These are all good action verbs, action words. Compile, identify, create, plan, prepare, design, select, utilize, apply, assess, compare, communicate, demonstrate. All these things, they are very specific, very clear, and as a result, you can elicit the information which is expected. Next slide, please. There are certain action words which should not be used because these verbs which are not very clear, which are very ambiguous, confusing, which have got multiple meanings, multiple interpretations, which are very difficult to observe, which are very difficult to measure, such words are to be avoided while writing these learning outcomes. And here the example is given: be aware of, appreciate, comprehend, familiar with. Such words are to be avoided because with these words they are very vague, ambiguous, confusing, nebulous. You cannot get the answer. Neither can you observe nor measure the outcome.